communication as a supervisory skill for the supervisor is most important, especially in the business. So I have prepared some questions to interview some people about the view of the supervisory skill.
I think it is important if supervisor know more than at least 2 languages and above, because it can earn trust from others. If supervisor travel and speak the language of people it is doing business with, rather than having to speak through a translator, supervisor may have an easier time fostering trust between him and the other company. Besides, supervisor can also become a better decision maker. Supervisor have to think about what he is saying and communicating in a way that doesn't come as naturally as speaking and communicating in his native language. Next, supervisor can also attract new business. Companies feel more comfortable leaving their business in the hands of an organization that is not only familiar with their products or service but speaks their language.
It is because learning new language can improve supervisors' communication skills with their workers or customers, especially when they communicate with their workers or customers for those who are from other races.
I think supervisor must know more than 2 languages and above is important because it can easier communicate with their employers without any problem, and it can easier quickly to complete the test on the time.
I think it is important that supervisor must at least know more than 2 languages and above. Knowing more languages also means understanding a culture. The supervisor are multilingual has had a direct impact on success with winning international work. Besides, it can help supervisor more effective communication to their clients or workers. The clients are usually working for multinationals, but that does not mean that they are brilliant in English. Therefore, supervisors who can speak their client language can easily attract the client.
I think supervisor must at least know more than 2 languages and above is important, because the supervisor has to deal with different type of customer.
I think if supervisor know more language to communicate with their workers is not any problem, because no more language can making things clear. Confusing instructions and unclear guidelines are bad for everyone. When communicating with workers, supervisors have to be clear about what they want and expect. If workers understand their duties and responsibilities, everything flows more smoothly. Besides, it also can manage diversity in the workforce. With a mix of races and nationalities, it is easy for people to accidentally obey each other. Policies that clearly spell out how the company applies rewards and penalties can clear things up. Clear guidelines telling workers how to treat each other helps avoid unwanted conflict. Furthermore, it also can survive difficult situations. If management rush the best or does discussion, it can kill workers' faith in the company. Talking honestly about the situation can strengthen their trust.
It's not any problem if supervisors communicate with their workers by using different languages. It's because it can let workers easy to understand what they want to express.
I think it have any problem for supervisor and the employees because sometimes awareness cultural difference will impact supervisor and employees by they are not consistent and to affect their communicate problem and to be more challenging.
I think if supervisors know more language to communicate with their workers as not any problems. It is because it can help supervisors build the relationships with the workers. The skills enable them to relate to different cultural groups in more personal manner. Speaking to workers in his or her own language helps them to break down the barriers and allows everyone to feel more comfortable and confident. Communication is one essential component of an organization's performance management system. This fosters the necessary two-way dialogue that must occur during the performance appraisal. So the supervisor should know more language to communicate with their workers.
In my opinion, if the supervisor knows how to communicate in multiple languages to the employee, he won't have any problem. This is because employee can communicate in their own language with supervisor more easily, especially when they are in meeting.
I think supervisor know more language can attract their workers learn different language from him. Because if workers learn different language from supervisor, they will develop an understanding of foreign culture, politics, and business practice. Besides, learning a language will help build worker confidence in dealing with overseas customers. In addition, learning different language from supervisor can make workers feel valued and gives learners a great sense of achievement.
In my opinion, I do not fully agree with this statement because the workers not necessarily will learn new languages from the supervisor. It's because the workers will more focus on work compared to the learning new languages.
I think can because it can establish supervisor and employees deep connection and cross-cultural friendship. Then, if employees know more language, also can easier to understand how about supervisor talking about of their tasks.
I think that the supervisor know more language can attract their workers learn different language from him. It is because the supervisor acts as role models of workers. The workers observe their supervisor's communication with others and ultimately learn to use the same techniques in their personal relationship. In addition, the supervisor who knows more language can show his or her great confidence when communicate with overseas customers. This type of confidence can attract their workers willing to learn different language from the supervisor.
I think supervisor know more language can attract their worker learn different language from him because the worker can communicate more easily with their customer in different ways of language.
I think if supervisor know more language is the one challenge for him to use different language and way to solve the problem. Because this is helpful in relationship building. Being able to speak a second or third language transcends spoken dialogue. Speaking to someone in his own language helps break down barriers and allows everyone to feel more comfortable and confident. Besides, it is also helpful in appeal to global companies. Foreign language person will give supervisor the opportunity to showcase himself as a global employee. If supervisors like to travel, he can boost his chance of getting selected for international travel based on his ability to speak a foreign language. Next, it is also helpful in improvement of other crucial business skills. If supervisor is fluent in more than one language, highlight the talent on his resume and talk about it during his job interviews.
It's definitely a challenge for supervisors. In my opinion, supervisors can only using their break time or off day to learn other languages. For example, they can learn 10 English words per day. It's because they only can using break time or off day to improve their English because more of the time they will be working on the supermarket and shopping mall and so on.
I think yes, because one of the challenges of having a diverse workforce is knowing how to create a work environment of inclusion that allow all employees to reach their full potential. Supervisor will also have a responsibility to affirmatively determine where language and cultural difference in the workplace can be accommodated and where they cannot.
I think the supervisor know more language is one challenge for him to use different language and different way to solve the problem. For the company which have different ranks of workers, when the conflict occurs, the supervisor can use different language to communicate with different ranks of workers. It can be more effectiveness and efficiency to find out the different ways and to solve the problem.
Actually, supervisors have many jobs want to do, and they also have faced many problems in their jobs. I think if supervisor know more language, is not the one challenge for him to use different language and the way to solve their problem, because supervisor can understand what they are discuss about when they are meeting or solve the problem more easily.
I think supervisor know more language will patient to listen what people talking about. And when supervisor is patient to listen what people talking about, supervisor's attention span will improve. Besides, it will also increase information exchange and flow of ideas. Furthermore, supervisor will have more business ideas, and supervisor will have a wider perspective and more options.
In my opinion, I think supervisor will be more patient when talking or listening to others. It's because they understand what people try to say during the conversation.
I think yes, because listening is a skill that we can all benefit from improving. By becoming a better listener, we can improve our productivity as well as our ability to influence, persuade, and negotiate. We also can avoid conflict and misunderstandings, and these are necessary for workplace success.
I think that the supervisor which know more language will patient to listen what people talking about. It is because it can decrease the misunderstanding and mistranslation occurs caused by the different language when they do the communication. Besides, it can help to avoid the conflict between the different ranks of workers caused by the different language. Supervisors which have no different language can handle this type of problem.
I think most of the supervisor know more language with passion to listen what people talking about, because it's one of the owner when communicating with someone.
For the conclusion, we can see that different interview people had different views of the supervisory skill. So, for the first question, we can see that interview people think supervisor must know more than two languages and above is important because they think that if supervisor know more than two languages and above, actually it can easier to make them to communicate with their use the different language to communicate with their employer and customer to be more easily. And it also can help supervisor to become a better decision maker and easier to successful the operating of their business. For the second question, we can see that some interview people think that when supervisor communicate with their employer is had any problem because of different race will affect their sometimes idea will not to be consistent, especially during in the work of the task. But some of the interview people think that when supervisor communicate with their employer is not have any problem because they think that supervisor and their employer can be have a good relationship to be communicate in the any workplace. Then they also think it can easily let the worker to clear off their duties or the work if they have any good communication on the time during the work. Moreover, for the third question, we can see that some interview people will think that worker will not learn other language from their supervisor because they think that worker will only focus on their work. But some of the interview people think that worker will learn more other language from their supervisor because they think that it can make them to deep connection and cross-cultural friendships. And they also think that it can make worker to be easier to use the different language to communicate with their customer to be more understanding. For the fourth question, some interview people think that if supervisor know more language, it's not the one challenge for him to use the different way to solve the problem. Because they think that if supervisor can understanding other language, actually it can discuss and using the different way to solve the problem. But for the some interview people think it is different. It is the one challenge for supervisor to use the different way to solve the problem because they think that different race have different people problem. So this will make supervisor must use different language to communicate and different way to solve the problem. For the last question, we can see that most of the interview people think that if supervisor know more language, actually supervisor will be more patient to listen what people talking about because they think that it can make them to avoid conflict between different race of worker caused by different language during the work time. So from the video of the interview people talking about view of the supervisory skill, actually we can see that there are many view and opinion of the supervisory. For my opinion, I think supervisor must know more other language is also important because I think it can make them to be more easier to communicate with their customer and employer, and it can be also successful to be used in the business. Then I also think not only for the supervisor must know more than 2 languages and above. I think each people will also must know more other language because it can make them to be more easier to communicate with different race of people and also can make friends with them to be more easily. Finally, I want to thank to my lecturer have given me this opportunity to share this information about the different interview people talking about the view and opinion of the supervisory skill. And this will also make me more understanding about the knowledge of the supervisory skill of the supervisor.